The Buffalo Bills appear to be everything a future Super Bowl team looks like. And they have one thing going for them. Their division ain't that hard. We'll talk about Buffalo being a favorite here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That is facts. Welcome to the barbershop here on Locked On NFL, where it is your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the barbershop, the NFL second version of Locked On NFL. After Tyler Rowland, the Madman wakes you up, we come slide through the barbershop here every day with the help of local experts and the use of clips. And as well, we got my man Matt Williamson. We always got somebody riding shotgun. Matt is the man here with us on Friday, and we're going to get right down to it. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And shout out to the everydayers for joining us. Also, I'm going to let you know what we're about to do today, me and Matt. Matt and I are going to go over the first part of the barbershop favorites. We're going to name 6 teams and talk about them. In the third segment, it's going to be Rams and Ravens. In the middle of the show, Lions and Chiefs. At the very top, the Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, and the team that might be the barbershop's favorite because of some things to win it, and that is the Buffalo Bills. Matty, we ain't going to even waste no time, man. We're going to get right to it and jump into it. There are a lot of things that has to happen when you have to win the Super Bowl. One, you got to be good, right? You got to get a quarterback. You usually have a good quarterback and coach combination. And then it comes down to stuff like home field advantage and how easy your road was. Kansas City has had that for a number of years. I think that's sort of changing a little bit. Buffalo has a little bit of an easy road now, don't they?
They do, and you kind of beat me to it. So the obvious low-hanging fruit about the Bills is they have a superstar quarterback. I mean, a true rare player at the position that's in his prime. That's phenomenal. I like their coaching staff as well. I like the organizational makeup. They've won a lot of games lately. I'm not sure they're the best team in the AFC, but I can pretty much guarantee they're going to be my pick to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I mean, 5 or 6 wins in that division, I think, is pretty much set in stone. The rest of the schedule doesn't look awful. Of course, they play a first-place schedule, but if you get home field in that place all the way through, that's a really good start. So, Wig, I'm curious what you think about this, though, because these teams also have negatives. We had Peter Bukowski on Peacock and Williamson the other day talking about the Packers. And I kind of shocked them a little bit because I compared, quarterback aside, I compared the Packers roster and the Bills roster a little bit in that I like them. They're good rosters. There's no question about that. They're in the top half of the league. But I don't see any superstars. You know, like I don't see Justin Jefferson or Nick Bosa or who else keeps you up at night on the Packers or Bills besides Josh Allen?
That's a very, very, very astute and good point. Somebody might have to develop into that. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, we're gonna start with
the closers. You know.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. You might need a closer. We're gonna start right here with the dude that starts it. Listen to Joe Marino here from Locked On Bills.
Well, but I want to start by acknowledging that this offense last year was really, really good. It was exceptional. You're talking about the number 3 offense in the NFL in terms of EPA, number 3 in passing EPA, number 2 in rushing EPA, number 2 in scoring, number 2 in red zone touchdown percentage, number 7 in third down conversion rate. And remember, that started off very slowly, finishes in the top 7. And it's also the offense that scored the most touchdowns in history for the franchise. The 2024 Buffalo Bills offense has quite the claim and resume as the best offense in franchise history, potentially.
So the question is, who's their closer? You know what their closer might be? Their closer might be a combination of their identity with that number 1 seed in that stadium at that time of season.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a brutal place to play, obviously, and they're well adapted to do so. funny, again, kind of beat me to my next point with this team is we've so often talked about Ferraris and dump trucks in Miami.
We did.
Now, looking at Buffalo 3-4 years ago, I think they built their team to beat the Chiefs, to score as many points as they can, speed. And I was always very rough on them for that. I mean, I'm like, give me Mike Allstott. You play in Buffalo. And I think they've embraced that they play more 6 offensive line sets than anyone in the league. They're investing in guys like the guard
Dawkins.
Dawkins and the guard they took out of Florida. I mean, mashers, So I do think their physicality now is a trump card as well.
It is. Speaking of physicality, the Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, they got a lot of physicality. And guess what? They got a closer. He didn't have to close the Super Bowl because so much attention was going on him. Their other closers did their job. Listen to Lou DiBiase. Now, I'll ask you when we come back after listening to Louis' clip, can the Eagles do something that hasn't been done in 20 years, and that is be a repeat division winner in the NFC East? And do they need to do that in order to win the Super Bowl, since we're talking about home field advantage? Listen to Louis.
I think this is the best roster that not only Howie Roseman has ever put together from a combination of a long-term and short-term perspective, but I think it's the best core they've ever built in NFL history, in Eagles history, I should say, in franchise history. However, this summer, I do still think there could be some surprise names that get cut in August.
Listen, they got to win that division, or maybe they don't have to win the division in order to secure, a berth in the Super Bowl. But if you don't get home field advantage, it might make it difficult. But they got a real good chance and a real good roster.
They do, and frankly, I don't know where to nitpick this team. I mean, some real small things are new offensive coordinator. Saquon had a ridiculous number of touches last year. History's usually not kind to those guys the year after. They lost, 3 strong defensive linemen, but they've prepared for that too. I mean, they always draft those guys. They're always coming back. So they have to be the leader in the clubhouse.
They have to be the leader in the clubhouse because they're just so freaking good. We'll talk about a team that almost knocked them off and didn't give them this chance to have this feeling from everybody. The Rams will hit them in segment 3. But no, Philly's a very, very good team, man. And it's hard to pick against them. You just don't know how teams are going to respond once they get the gold in their hand. Once they win, do they keep going with it? Right now, they're able to get away with it because all those dudes basically on the defense are on rookie deals, and they're paying everybody on offense top 6, top 7 money at their respective positions. So it's going to be really, really fun to watch that. We're going to get right now in this mid segment. We ain't going to forget about the Chiefs because the Chiefs, they're still a real good team. In fact, I think they're better than they were last year. We're going to talk about another team, the Lions. And one of our listeners on Locked On NFL kind of got on me a little bit and said that maybe the Lions had already swung their haymakers. David Harrison and I were talking about that. He said, no, man, the Lions ain't done. So we're going to give the benefit of that. We'll talk about Detroit here in just a second on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. Look, it's serious in the NBA right now. There's one game left. And if you ain't on FanDuel, I don't know what you're doing, man. One game, game 7, anything can happen. And boy, those same game parlays are going to look even better. FanDuel makes it easy if you haven't played to get in the game, stay in the game before and after tip-off and live during the game. I'm telling you, man, it is going to be so fun with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to win money, especially with Game 7. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back rolling along here with my man, Matt Williamson, here on a Friday, talking about contenders, barbershop favorites. Yeah, I probably put it out there. I think right now the Bills are one of the favorites, and if not the favorite, because of the schedule, because I think they'll win the division and they'll have possibly home field advantage, at least to get to the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions had a really, really good last 2 seasons. They play one way, man. It's full throttle. That gas,
Yeah.
you put that, they step that foot on that gas. And my only thing is, and maybe I'll clarify this for that listener, will it wear them down? If you do all of that every year, if everything is a knockout punch all the time and you just going, and it never actually results in wins because of things like injuries, which happened last year, do you get worn out a little bit? Can they get Frank Ragnow was 29 years old and left and retired. He's an all-pro, and that's going to hurt a little bit. I want you to hear Matt Derry talk about the roster up in Detroit.
NFL. I'm very, very excited to see how this passing game is going to be without Ben Johnson, because I know we know how good Jared Goff is. We know how good Jared Goff is when he's protected. We saw what Ben Johnson was able to do with this offense with trick plays. But let me tell you something. When they went basic, the Lions, when they went play action and just 3rd and 6 and you needed 6 yards, you could get it.
He ain't lying about that. Now, you can replace coaches. Teams do it all the time. I mean, half of Sean McVay's staff from 2 years ago probably coaching around the National Football League, but it doesn't mean you ain't going to miss stuff. And in football, the margins are so small when it comes to what makes you successful. What do you think about Detroit this year?
I think they're a very, very good team. They could win the Super Bowl. Now, big picture, I don't think that window is opening anymore. I think it's starting to close for the first time. And here's my reasoning is you lose both coordinators. You lose multiple assistant coaches. I think Campbell's an excellent coach, but he's not a schemer. You know, he's a CEO. You know, I mean, he's not going to take over either side of the ball and just coach it up and Belichick it up or whatever. You mentioned it. Interior O-line has to be worse. And you've been so good up front. That's your identity. But they're still really good. You know, I mean, they've taken some punches themselves here. You know, Tyson's landed a few blows to their roster too this offseason, you know?
Yeah, and then this is other thing, and we keep mentioning this. We always mention it. We mentioned it at the top of the show, and we'd be remiss not to talk about it now. I love Jared Goff. I think he's worth the money. I love how he rebuilt his career and all of that. He's actually probably the first one of all of these dudes to make amends for being drafted highly in the team not wanting him after beyond his first contract. But I will tell you this. We talk all the time about these teams needing a quarterback to be great. I don't think he's great. I think he's solid. I think
he's great, yeah.
And see, that's the thing, man. When you start taking the little stuff away, I think it puts more pressure on him.
He needs to step up, and can he step up? You know, he's still good. I think you don't dislike him. You know, I don't dislike him. But he also needs to be clean.
Yeah, he does need to be clean. Now, the flip side of that is, you notice we never talk about this next team that way. We never talk about them that way because even when they're down and got injuries and they got one or two parts. Yeah, okay, so when they have one or two parts of the offensive line not looking right, they've gotten the doors blown off in Super Bowls, but then they bounce right back and plug and play guys. Check this out. Locked On Chiefs.
When you start looking at how Kansas City has been successful over the last several years, yes, the offense has been great. Yes, they've had Patrick Mahomes. He can make plays that no other QB can. But one of the biggest things that has been part of their success is their defense is able to get stops and be successftake. And one of the things that they're going to have to do this year, and they have to get better at, is they have to get after the passer a little bit better. But they also have to take the ball away from the offense. That is one of the biggest keys if they want to improve on defense.
Matt, this is one of my rallying cries. This is one of the Chiefs. The Chiefs are good because they're just good at what they do, right? Reid and Mahomes, but they got something else that helps them. Ain't nobody hiring Nagy, and ain't nobody trying to hire Spagnuolo, and they get that consistency in their staff year after year because those guys have had shots, and I don't think nobody's knocking the door down to come back and be a head coach. So he's getting the benefit of the consistency from guys that might not be good enough to be a head coach, but they're good enough for the Chiefs. And
they're real happy staying there and making a lot of money and getting playoff checks and Super Bowl rings. It's a pretty nice life. You know, you don't have to deal with the press. You know what I mean? It's a pretty good deal. I don't have much concerns about the defense. I understand, you know, they got to make more big plays. They'll be fine. They got Chris Jones. They got Spags. They got enough. I mean, I trust that side of the ball to no end. Here's my thing, and it's actually kind of intriguing because you start looking at these quarterback lists, and rightfully so, Lamar, Allen, even Burrow have narrowed that gap to Mahomes. And I bet he goes incredibly insane this year. I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't great last year. He wasn't one of the top 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in the regular season last year. They didn't have a lot of explosives. But I look at Worthy, Rice, Marquise Brown, sprinkle in a little bit of old man Kelsey, and Mahomes might lead the league in touchdown passes again, and look out. Like they got a little bit embarrassed. They got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. You kick the Muhammad Ali at a bad time type of thing, like
Right.
when he's down is when he's most dangerous,
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. And we've seen them do this before. We've seen them get the doors blown off and then they just retool it. And it goes back to something that we keep saying. When you got a great quarterback, man, everything else can fit in. They're going to get Rashee Rice back. They added some additions. They added some additions on that offensive line. They ain't got to play the rookie left tackle early because they went out in free agency and got somebody to play. So my thing is they seem like a team that always finds a way to do it right, but it's really easy when you have one of maybe the 5 greatest coaches to ever coach, combined with one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks to ever play, combined with now, at least ring-wise, one of the greatest defensive coordinators to ever to load it up. He did it in New York, and now he's done it here in Kansas City and Spagnuolo. I just think they're very good. They're a very well-run organization, and we'll see how it goes. All right, we got 2 more teams. I'm going to get to those 2 teams, and then at the end of segment 3, I'm going to get Matt to assist me on who the next 6 teams are because I ain't going to name but 12 contenders. I don't think it's going to be more than that. Who am I going to talk about Monday? So Matt's going to help. Matt's going to be my little production guy here, my program director, if you will, for Monday when I talk to Julian Council here on the Barbershop on Locked On NFL. But the last 2 teams we'll talk about, Rams and, of course, the Baltimore Ravens, who even got a little bit better this week with the addition of Jaire Alexander. We'll talk about that and more here on Locked On NFL. Baltimore, they just keep getting better and finding ways to get better. Baltimore Ravens inked Lamar Jackson's college teammate, Jaire Alexander, to a deal to be, I don't know what he's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be their nickel, their dime. He might be their penny. They got so many defensive backs that don't make any sense right now, man. But I want you to hear Kevin Ostraca from Locked On Ravens, and I'll come back and let Matt give his spill on their offseason.
The Ravens are clear. They are clear Super Bowl favorites with this move. You add Jaire Alexander onto the squad, into the secondary, and the fact of the matter is, you look at the deal, you look at the actual contract that was signed here. He didn't break the bank. This is the year. I'm not going to say they are going to win it, but man, I think this is the best shot they have had in the Lamar Jackson era to do so with the roster on paper.
I can't disagree with him. In fact, I had him as my favorite last year. I just can't keep saying it year after year until they finally get it done, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, as all the local hosts, they get a little excited. I don't know if they're the clear favorite, but they might be my pick. And I have great respect for the organization, coach. I mean, they're the Steelers' biggest rival, so people around here hate when I praise the Ravens, but I praise the Ravens all the time. Lamar is unbelievable. You mentioned the secondary. I mean, they had Alexander and Starks. I mean, that's pretty nice. And I don't think they have a great pass rusher, but they can blitz more now with that secondary. They can be highly aggressive. I think the defense has a chance to be exceptional. It's a small thing, but you add like a Nuke Hopkins. He doesn't have to do much, but if he catches you 5 touchdowns and moves the chains here and there, Mark Andrews got embarrassed with a drop. I bet he comes back strong. They kept Stanley. They got Linderbaum. Henry and Jackson are the foundation on that side of the ball. It's hard to find warts with this team.
Yeah, it is hard to find warts. It's hard to find warts in the organization. I thought there would be a little bit of slippage when Ozzie, when Ozzie Newsome retired or whatever. You're thinking, okay, they can't just replace like one of the greatest who have ever done it. But the bottom line is, man, Baltimore, they're right there with any other team that you think about in the National Football League that has done a tremendous job of being able to maintain their dominance, being able to maintain their consistency. And what you really want to do is put yourself in a window. You want to put yourself in the window 7, 8, 9 years when you have a great quarterback. Yeah. Sort of like Peyton Manning when he was in Indy. You just hang in there long enough and keep building long enough, something's going to happen and boom, you're going to have that magic that one season. The team I'm talking about, like a team I'm about to talk about, that had magic for one season when they had a bunch of great players, they got a quarterback, and everything lined up for them exactly the way it was supposed to. That's the Rams. And they got a guy who, Andy Reid used to be this with Belichick. There were people, I think Maurice Jones-Drew said it one time. He said, I actually think Andy Reid's the best. He's not the most decorated coach, but he's the best coach in the league. Well, now that Andy Reid is the most decorated coach, there are a lot of people that think Sean McVay is actually the best coach right now.
Yeah.
With the way it is. And so they've kind of swapped places. To me, this is the scariest team on paper in the league. And I include Cincinnati. You know why? Because I don't think Cincinnati has the young players on defense.
Right.
They are absolutely scary in LA with the Rams. And they could get even scarier if they make a couple more moves. But listen, people from Locked On Rams talk about the scary Los Angeles Rams.
Braden Fisk's knee is at 100%. He's good to go. 2025 season is going to be a massive one for him to take the next big leap, because all the talk was about Jared Verse, and rightfully so, because he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. But Fisk was a major part of this team as a rookie. They traded up to get him. They gave a lot to get him, and he proved them right in year one. And he said that he's ahead of schedule in his rehab. He's already a full go in practice. He doesn't have any limitations, has no ill effects from the surgery. So I think he's going to have a big year.
Much like the Philadelphia Eagles, it is very rare that you have a really, really good team that people say can win the Super Bowl. And when you start naming their players, you get to like the second player and you start naming rookies. And then you name a rookie. That is, Philly can do that. Mm-hmm. Philly can definitely do it with their secondary. These guys can do it up front. The Rams are in a really, really good position with the mix of young and old. And then in their mind, I think they should have beat Philly in that game last year to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And again, I think it starts with what you said. McVay is an A-plus head coach. And I still think Stafford has plenty of bullets in that old man's gun and is willing to fire them to no end. And that's a great combination to start to keep you a big-time contender. I also think they're a big-time organization, too. They do things differently, but I have great respect for the Rams. And they have a D-line. You know, like if you give me three things, coach, quarterback, D-line. That's a pretty good start. And I think Nakua is a much better receiver than given credit for. I mean, he's one of the truly best in the league. And him and Adams might catch 100 balls each. I mean, that Adams pickup might be the best one in the offseason. They have enough on the O-line. You know, they're a good team.
You have a route run. You have this team that they just get guys that run routes. And you got a guy who can throw it. And you go maybe Nakua might be the best route runner in the league, not named Devontae. And then you go get the route running savant and bring him over there. They're dangerous, man. And they got Kyron Williams. They got a nice little young offensive line, a quarterback that's seen it and understands it and knows it. But then it's just that defense, man, with those dudes flying around. They went and got those two defensive linemen last year when people thought the defensive linemen they took the year before were fabulous as rookies. They said, no, we're just going to take all of that and make it better. So those are the first 6 teams. Now I need your help.
Okay.
Because David Harrison is going to probably, when he sees this, text me and say, what are you, an idiot? Because I did not include Washington. I'm doing Washington. I'm going to tell you right now, man, Washington is going to be one of those teams. Tampa is going to be one of the teams, the other teams. They're not the next 6, but I can't do all 12. I'm going to add Sean Payton in Denver. I'm going to get your help here in just a second. You mentioned Green Bay. I'm going to do Green Bay too. So that's 4. I got 2 more. It's between Dallas, Pittsburgh, Houston, Cincinnati, and the LA Chargers. What you got?
Not going to include Minnesota or San Francisco?
I'm not, because of the quarterback situation. In San Francisco, their roster is kind of beat up a little bit, and they had too much turnover. And then their best player is McCaffrey, and he's coming off of an injury.
I would say the one I feel strongest about of the candidates is Houston.
Woo, that was
I love the defense. I love the pass catchers. I still love the quarterback.
And they're going to commit to the running game a little bit.
Yeah, the coordinator change. I still think they're putting some turnstiles though up front. I mean, their O-line to me worries me to no end. But
you got to include them because they're probably either them or Jacksonville in that division. In my opinion.
Right, I think they'll win their division. I mean, that's a really good start. So who are we down to?
Dallas, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and the Chargers, and do not worry about being biased if you got to choose Pittsburgh. I know you ain't going to do it anyway, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's where I'm leaning, and I'm leaning that way because I think, at least so far, they won 9 games with like a rocket scientist at quarterback or something like that. It was good. So you get Aaron Rodgers, man, and as long as he understands that he has some limitations and he acts correctly, I think they've done everything that they were supposed to do. They got a good defense. They added on their defensive line. They've consistently invested in their offensive line. They have playmakers at wide receiver, and they got that young running back, man. I'm telling you, he's faster. Johnson from Iowa is faster than the dude that's in San Diego that they got rid of or in LA. So I'm just thinking that it's going to be enough that they win 2 or 3 games, and then you put them in that situation in the playoffs, they can do it. They can beat anybody.
I'm leaning that way too. I mean, if Cincinnati had anything more on defense, that's a choice, but their defense could be 32nd. I mean, it's really, really bad. And I do think, I basically know, the Steelers will add another pass catcher. I mean, I don't know who that is, but there will be another receiver, not probably the Pickens level, but that's still a hole that will be addressed here in the coming months. They're always in it. So, I mean, big thing I've been saying around here is I'll bet you everything I have Rodgers is their best quarterback since Roethlisberger's elbow injury.
Yep.
That's not saying much, but you still win more than you lose every year with Duck Hodges and Rudolph and Pickett and Trubisky and all those guys. I think Rodgers gives you more than them.
He does. And I think they're a little more explosive with DK and, like I said, Caleb Johnson. It seems like they needed more easy plays. Everything was everything was hard, man. It's like they did everything the hard way. It's like they cut their yard with a weed whacker. No, you got to ride lawnmower now. You can just do it really, really fast. So it looks like we're going with Washington, Denver, Tampa, Houston, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. That leaves Cincinnati, Dallas, and the Chargers on the outside of my top 12. But it's up for good debate, man. If you want to find out all about these teams, go to Locked On NFL Scouting with Joe Marino, who you heard from earlier, and Kyle Krabs. They cover that thing and let you know what all of these teams have on the roster. You might even find that receiver that Pittsburgh will probably end up acquiring at some point. All right, man, we had a good time today talking about 6 contenders. That's part 1. We'll do part 2 on Monday. Matt Williamson's going to go enjoy his weekend. I'm going to try to do the same. Make sure y'all tap into Tyler Road and first thing Monday morning. The Madman will wake you up on Locked On NFL AM. For Matt Williamson, Tony Wiggins, thank y'all for joining us for 27 and a half minutes. We appreciate you. Take care.